Hey there. It is your correspondent, Heather D. King. A few people signed up for my YouTube channel recently. I try to turn off notifications for everything in the world because I don't want to know or be bothered. But I did get these notifications that so and so signed up for your YouTube channel. I'm like, oh wow, maybe I should put something up there for a change. So it's a Saturday afternoon. I've been out in the yard. In Tucson, you spend half your life, or I spend half my life sweeping because there's these freaking mesquite trees that drop bushels and bushels of needles all the time. And the weather is um, like 4 to 5 months of unbearable baking Sahara-like heat. And then this winter it was freezing cold. Everyone was like, this is the coldest we've ever seen in our life, but it was like real seriously freezing. And as you know, if you turn the heat on for like 3 hours a day to 62, your bill is like $500 or something. So and then the rest of the time it either monsoon rains or this horrible wind comes up that kind of sets your teeth on, like kind of like the Santa Ana winds in LA, also that blow leaves and debris over everything. So then you have to go out and sweep. Um, However, they don't have earthquakes like in Los Angeles, which is nice. Anyway, I just thought I would check in with a little Uh, oh, I don't know. A little update, a little hello. One of the things I've been thinking, well, I think about this a lot. This whole phenomenon of the writer who, in the olden days, you just wrote, and then if you were lucky enough to get published, your publisher and your agent got your stuff out to the world, which is exactly as it should be. But of course, we live in another world, the world of social media. I remember way, way back with like MySpace whenever that stuff first came out. And I remember thinking social media, like Facebook, is like inviting people to look at you while you look at yourself in the mirror, which is what I'm doing right now, except I'm not even looking at the video, as you can probably tell. But anyway, so I mean, I do, in all seriousness, I think there's this deep, deep tension because we're not, on the one hand, supposed to hide our light under a bushel, and why not take advantage of what we have to get our stuff out to the world? On the other hand, um, I just always, it's just made my blood run cold to sort of, oh, I don't know, have a sort of shtick or something. So I wanted to read this little excerpt from this really great book that some of you may know. It's by Lewis Hyde, Lewis, Lewis Hyde, Hyde. It's called The Gift, kind of a classic. And it's just this whole book about kind of exchange and what is a gift. And here's one paragraph. He says, as the bearer of the empty place, the religious mendicant, he's talking about, the kind of holy beggar, has an active duty beyond his supplication. He is the vehicle of that fluidity which is abundance. The beggar is the bearer of the empty place. The wealth of the group touches his bowl at all sides, as if it were the center of a wheel where the spokes meet. The gift gathers there, and the mendicant gives it away again when he meets someone who is empty. So I think this is really interesting. It's an interesting phenomenon to think about. This whole, especially of course, as a Catholic, as a follower of Christ, who laid down his life for his friends. I mean, the ultimate gift, um, and how that is not being a doormat and uh, that kind of sacrifice. But anyway, Lewis Hyde goes on to talk about this. The task of setting free one's gifts was a recognized labor in the ancient world. I mean, anyone who feels they have any kind of gift at all, no matter how small, which for me, of course, and it is a very small, limited, my range is very limited. I'm very aware that of kind of my place in the, if any, in the pecking order. At the same time, it is some kind of a gift. And I really do devote my life to sort of, I really kind of order my life to it. So anyway, he goes on. The Romans called a person's tutelar spirit his genius. In Greece, it was called a daemon, Daemon. Um, Ancient authors tell us that Socrates, for example, had a daemon who would speak up when he was about to do something that did not accord with his true nature. So he goes on to talk about this. This genius is a kind of spirit. And according to Apuleius, of course, I don't know who he is, some Greek philosopher, apparently, if a man cultivated his genius through such sacrifice, it would become a lar, L-A-R, a protective household god when he died. But if a man ignored his genius, it became a larva or a lemur, L-E-M-U-R, like I guess the animal, um, with the animals named after this kind of not really beautiful animal. When he died, a troublesome, restless spook that preys on the living. So anyway, these spirits, they're offered to us. They come to us at birth. And those who do not reciprocate the gifts of their genius will leave it in bondage when they die. I mean, I just think all this stuff is real interesting. And if you've had relatives, for example, who had some promise of the gift that you've been given and maybe didn't have a chance or weren't able to sort of live it out, you do have this sense that not only is it your job, or that you're somehow doing it for them as well. Um, anyway, this is the thing. An abiding sense of gratitude moves a person to labor in the service of his daemon. The opposite is properly called narcissism. The narcissist feels his gifts come from himself. He works to display himself, not to suffer change. I think this is the great, great danger of social media. I mean, just to not to demonize social media, but just as a blanket term for this kind of world we live in, where you can literally, from the moment before you're born, now your mother puts your sonogram or whatever it's called up on the internet. Anyway, he works to display himself, not to suffer change. An age in which no one sacrifices to his genius or daemon is an age of narcissism. The cult of genius, which we have seen in this century, he's talking about the 20th century, has nothing to do with the ancient cult. The public adoration of genius turns men and women into celebrities and cuts off all commerce with the guardian spirits. We should not speak of another's genius. That is a private affair. The celebrity trades on his gifts. He does not sacrifice to them, capitalizes on his gifts. And this, again, is something totally different from earning a living. The labor is worthy of his hire, absolutely. But as you're earning a living, you're also sacrificing. So the celebrity trades on his gifts. He does not sacrifice to them. And without that sacrifice, without the return gift, the spirit cannot be set free. In an age of narcissism, the centers of culture are populated with larvae and lemurs, the spooks of unfulfilled genii, Genii, obviously, plural of. So, I don't know. I struggle. I go back and forth with them. Oh, I should try a little harder to get my stuff out there. But I've always just felt, I mean, it's all I can do to sort of write, even in the rudimentary way that I do. So anyway, but at the same time, it's, I mean, the great thing about this age is that you can sort of communicate in a direct way with people, which is kind of cool, and you can do it totally in your own way, which I also like. And if two people like it, great, and if no one likes it, that's cool too. It was kind of fun to do it. Anyway, I have a call in 8 minutes, so okay. The other thing I wanted to say, um, eh, we're kind of in line with, okay, in service to the ordering one's life to one's work. So a couple weeks ago, of course, I live alone, I work alone, and periodically I'm visited by a deep urge to go off somewhere by myself. It's like I'll go from where I live alone to a hermitage, which, so I can really get some time alone. So anyway, I drive to this place in New Mexico, Holy Spirit Retreat Center, Las Cruces, 4 hour drive. You have to bring your own food. That's fine. I'm totally cool with that. Give me my little hut and leave me alone. So I get there. I'm totally stoked. I'm there for 4 nights. I drive up and they're building another hermitage beside the hermitage I'm staying in. And there's like 4 pickup trucks and a bulldozer, like right beside the place. And I'm telling you, this is the story of my life. I mean, part of me howled with laughter. I was like, oh, of course. So anyway, this place was in these pecan groves, and it was kind of great. I would just like walk up and down these long sort of lines of trees, and they had these acequias. They're called these irrigation ditches. So that was cool. But anyway, so while I'm there, I have brought Howard, among other things, Howard Hughes not auto, but a biography, his life and madness, right? And so because I love to read about, oh, I don't know, just kind of tortured, disordered people. So, so I'm reading. It's like 600 pages. I am kind of skimming. A lot of it's kind of boring. I just want to know about you know, his kind of inner life, if he had one. But anyway, I read this passage and I howled. This is so me. When he once asked for some aviation magazines. If you don't know, Howard Hughes was a major at the end of his life, or for the many, many years toward the end of his life, recluse, wicked OCD, God bless him. But anyway, and he had people waiting on him, of course, hand and foot. So when he once asked for some aviation magazines to read in his bedroom and they were not delivered promptly, Hughes bitterly denounced Gay. Gay is one of his aide de camps, aides de camp, and his Romaine Street crew. These people, his lackeys. And he writes, I want these aviation magazines, and I requested them 4 days ago, and it's just ludicrous that I have not received them. There is Aviation Week, Aviation, Aero Digest, Flying, the one that I got. There is American Aviation. There are countless aviation magazines in this country, and an equal number in England and France. And for me to sit here for 4 days and have 2 issues of one British magazine and 1 issue of one American magazine is just absolutely ludicrous. They didn't even give me a copy of Flight. They didn't give me any copy of any US magazine until after 48 hours. This is just appalling to me. This is typical of our whole slovenly, indifferent way this entire operation of mine is handled. And I can name so many more parallels. I could be here the whole stinking day doing it. Anyway, he goes on and on. And I howled because I totally get it. It's like, why won't the world do its job? I'm doing mine. They don't have a code that they live by, and I have a code, etc. So anyway, it turned out actually to be I made the most of it. So it was a great kind of 5 day retreat. And so now I'm back. I'm looking forward to, I have a couple retreats. I'm giving 2 mornings on prayer to these Maryknoll missioners in Los Altos, California later this month. And then I'm giving a Zoom writing workshop, writing in silence based at New Camaldoli, a place in Big Sur. You can't go there. None of us can go there, unfortunately, because the road got shut down with all the storms this past winter. And then I take off for Ireland, July 10th, I think, for almost 3 months. So it's a big year, a lot of travel. I just submitted, I spent days and days, weeks really writing this 4,000 word essay called What is a Woman, based on the Matt Walsh um, documentary, if you got to see it, which, I mean, I agree basically with him. On the other hand, he's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. So anyway, since I am a woman, I wrote my own essay. I sent it to First Things, not I mean, it's not, first things really almost every publication I can think of is completely ideological. You have to adhere totally to their party line. And if you straddle the line or have, agree with some stuff and have a totally, plus they have absolutely no sense of humor. I somehow subscribed to first things this year, and this isn't just sour grapes. No, but I mean, it's like, oh, people lighten up. Anyway, so they, of course, rejected it. So I'm really thinking about starting a Substack, if anyone knows what that is. Um, Maybe I'll do that when I'm in Ireland. Uh, anyway, I'm deeply, deeply grateful. Spring is here, the cactus are in bloom. And so let's sacrifice to our gifts rather than try to capitalize in a grasping, impugning our integrity way. And thank you so much for listening. Okay, welcome anyone who's new.